Hello?
Hello, is this Kevin?
Yes, speaking.
Kevin, my name is Joe. I'm one of the owners here at Valiant Law. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Is it possible I could have your last name as well?
Excuse me?
May I have your last name as well?
My name is Joe Jezerkowski.
Okay. Cool.
So I hear there's some back and forth
So
with my team.
Essentially,
you had some questions.
The issue is that I'm black, and the company I was working for. So at this point, we're in the middle of a New York State Division human rights complaint, and I still do not know who runs HR at that company because I was not.
You're in the middle of it.
I sent over an email with the complaint. I thought you reviewed it all.
No, you didn't send the complaint. I don't have that.
I definitely did. Can you hold on 1 second?
I'm not, Kevin. I'm not going to argue with you. You didn't.
I definitely sent it over. I can show you.
Well,
I sent it.
So it's filed, and there's a case number.
There's a case number.
Well, we definitely don't do that. I don't take on cases after they start.
No. So I sent it to Christy, I sent it to Saray, and I sent it to Sophia. So I submitted a complaint. The company sent a rebuttal. I sent a rebuttal. And where we're at now is an investigator's been assigned. They are forging my name onto documents.
Can you forward me the email where you attached the complaint?
Yeah, I attached it to 3 people in your company, and I also attached it to 3 of my email addresses, so I would know whether or not it went through. And I received it at all my email addresses. Sure.
I'm gonna give you my email right now, okay?
Let me just grab a pen. And there seems to be this thing, everywhere I call, every office, it seems like all these secretaries know each other, and they are trying to stop me from doing this. And I know that sounds insane, but you're telling me that you haven't seen this, and I very clearly sent it.
Well, my team does not withhold information from me, so I'll tell you that for a fact.
Well, I'm going to forward this.
My intake team, some of them are in California. So, I would venture to guess that they're not in cahoots with any secretaries from your prior employer.
Okay. That's not what I was saying. I was saying secretaries in these law offices, but your email, please?
3 J's, JJJ.
I'm sorry, 3 J's.
JJJ.
Yep.
At valiantlaw.com. So what are you looking for?
Compensation. I want to sue for wrong. Actually, this is all in the email that I sent, but I want to sue for wrongful termination, harassment, and emotional.
No, I see that. What are you looking for from me?
Representation, a consultation, because it seems like you haven't reviewed anything, and I'm just being disqualified.
I reviewed everything you said. It just didn't have there was no DHR complaint there.
So
I reviewed your intake form. I reviewed your pictures of your termination notice, your write-up.
Okay.
You sent an email to my team explaining that you're being discriminated against for seeking counsel for being discriminated against.
Correct. And I'm almost positive that these HR complaints were in there. And on my first submission of an HR complaint, what I was told by HR was that they didn't see the complaint.
Wait, you sent complaints to HR?
After I was terminated, because at that point, there was no reason not to at that point. Like, the whole reason I didn't complain was to keep my job. And once they fired me, there was no reason not to.
Well, I'm going to be very blunt with you, Kevin, and I think it's also why you're having, and this is just the way the law is. It's not fair. It sucks. But employment cases are not easy cases. So the reason why you're probably having a hard time getting an attorney to take your case is because there's no complaint until after you were written up once on, I think, January 27th.
Actually, that's not true. That's not true.
And under the law,
excuse me, sir?
in order to have...
Sir? So, when I first complained to the owners of the company, I was shorted 6 cases of coffee. On a Friday, I was shorted the 6 cases of coffee. On Saturday, I sent out a group chat to the owners of the company and let them know that I was shorted 6 cases of coffee. When I went into work on Monday, I was given a write-up notice, and it seemed retaliatory. So what I'm saying is...
What did you complain about? Not having coffee?
Alright, so I was a route driver, and on my route, I was missing 6 cases of coffee, which is not a mistake. There's no way in the world that's a mistake. 1 or 2 cases is a mistake.
What did the complaint say? Because I didn't see, you didn't send me a text message either.
There's a link file that has subfolders in it.
No, I mean, maybe you sent it to so many firms.
No, I'm looking at it. It says Christy, me, Saray, Sophia, and these are all CMS at valiantlaw.com. Saray Carrillo.
You forwarded it to me yet?
I did not. I will send it to you right now.
Forward it to me right now.
Okay. Hold on, that is reply. So it's just JJJ at valiantlaw.com?
Yep, that's it. Alright, so the complaints by text about lack of coffee on the route, when was that approximately?
And this is why it's all written out, because I cannot reasonably recall all this information. It's all written out in these complaints. That is the whole point of me not wanting to go into it over the phone and sending over all this information so it can be reviewed.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works, Kevin. You want us to help you. I need to hear it from you, not just written down. That's part of this process. If you ever want to get an attorney, you got to cooperate.
It's not that I'm not cooperating, but you're asking me for a specific date. So the write-up said January 27th.
Correct. What do you think is going to happen if you ever get into litigation and they take your deposition? They're going to ask you for specific dates.
I'm bringing my statement with me.
If you don't recall, that's okay, but I'm not asking specifics. I'm like, when? If you don't remember the day, the month, the week.
No, I didn't say I didn't remember the month. So the write-up was for January 27th. Like, I need to look at a calendar for this, for one. Because you're going to want
was it a week before the write-up? Was it
Alright,
a day before the write-up?
The write-up seemed to be dated a week before the incident occurred where I was shorted 6 cases of coffee. So, let's say Friday was the 29th. I was given a write-up on February 3rd, but the write-up was dated for January 27th. So it was as if they didn't want to make it seem like it was for what occurred on the 29th. When in reality it was, because as soon as I complained about being shorted 6 cases of coffee, all of a sudden I had a write-up that Monday when I went into work.
This file's 179 megabytes?
It is, because it's a lot of information.
What's in it?
It's the New York State Division of Human Rights complaints. It's the text messages. Hold on, because I have it on my desktop. Let me open it up. So it's the HR complaints. It's my pay stubs. It's signatures from a Department of Corrections job, because they forged my signatures on documents. And if you look at the signatures that I've done myself versus what they did, it's blatant. Then
on what documents?
They did it on a company handbook. No, the company, Fabco Coffee. So what they did was they signed my name on a non-disclosure agreement, which I never saw. They signed my name on a company handbook, which I never saw, and I doubt it existed until after the fact. There's pictures of the route sheets. Some of these are my direct deposits, handwritten out, what I was actually deposited for versus the hours I worked. Customer complaints. pictures of customer machines because they said I was wasting time, and in reality I was doing my manager's job. There's audio transcripts from recordings of my termination meeting, the write-up meeting, where they lied on recording, and I have that as well, but I didn't send the recordings. What I sent was audio transcripts of those recordings.
So you complained about the lack of coffee. What else did you complain about?
So it was an ongoing thing where it seems like my manager had a problem with me because I'm black, and I still don't even
complain about that.
To who? Because I heard him say racist shit to the owner.
Did you complain about it to anybody?
Who would I complain to it about?
Okay, this is not. You're being very argumentative, Kevin.
Yeah, but
this is what I do, and I'm asking you very specific questions for a reason.
There was no one to complain about, and the reason I did not complain.
It was a simple question.
The reason I did not complain.
People are scared. Sometimes people think they're going to get fired if they complain. I get it. I think companies are mostly shitty. Like, I get it. That's why I'm asking you these questions, to try to help you, because there's a difference between a company being shitty and a boss being shitty and an asshole and a jerk, and what constitutes discrimination or retaliation or wrongful termination. Those are two very different things, and I explain it to people a lot because, only lawyers who are trained in the law really understand.
All right, so
and if you're not complaining about discrimination and you're not complaining about like anything that we call a protected activity, then you're not going to be able to.
All right, so my whole thing is, what I want to explain to you is, my manager is Italian. The owner of the company was Italian. There is another female owner of the company. She's Italian. So I began avoiding her because I noticed that the owner of the company was looking at me weird whenever I was around her. I intentionally stayed away from her. And
How many employees did they have?
Somewhere between 16 and 20. I'm not exactly sure because I wasn't allowed to see or speak to any of the white women. So I don't know how many employees there are. I don't know.
How many non-white employees have you seen there?
3, 5 in the office. Me being 6, and then the service team is got to be somewhere between 6 and 12 employees.
Okay.
And then the owner and my manager would be 2, but they were men. And there was at least 3 other white women there, but I don't know their names. As far as I know, all their names are Taylor, because I wasn't allowed to speak to them. I wasn't allowed to see them. I was rushed out of the building in the morning so they could go to work. And this is all written out chronologically in this complaint.
Okay.
But it's not possible to recall all of this information over a 6-month period, which is why it's written out. And if I were to be deposed, I'm pretty sure they can't tell me I can't bring a pre-written statement with me with this information.
I'm happy that you wrote it out. But again, I need to ask these questions, and I need to hear your answers. That's fair, right?
Yeah, it is, but you also told me that you reviewed all this information, and then when you open up the file, you asked me it's 179 megabytes, and you seem to not know what's in the file.
Because this file won't open, and it still won't open, and it's not opening in my web browser. All I can see is that it's 179 megabytes, and it won't get scanned for viruses. So, whatever the documents are in here, it's probably, I'm going to assume, like a recording or video?
No, it's no recordings, no videos. It's just text documents and pictures of text messages. It's primarily text documents and pictures of handwritten documents or other documents.
And so what I'm hearing from you, and I appreciate that you have everything documented and that you filed a human rights complaint. Did an attorney help you with that, or you did it by yourself?
I did it by myself.
Okay. But what I need to know is, aside from the fact that there were some Italian people and you felt discriminated against. Which again, they might be racist pieces of shit. I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you directly that my manager, Paulie, called me a yam. And I asked him directly, what's a yam? And his response was, it's a black. And before that, I'm sorry?
When was that?
That was on either December 17th or December 18th, which was after the company Christmas party, where one of the white women at a restaurant, for some insane reason, decided to yell out that I have the bigger dick, as if she's seen my dick. And she did it in front of the entire company.
Did you complain about that? Like that you felt like that was inappropriate or awkward, or
who would I have complained to? My manager,
No, Kevin. I'm asking you. You're not answering my questions yet.
No, there was nobody to complain to, because before that happened, on December.
Okay, that's the answer. I just need to know the answer.
On December 3rd.
There's other reasons why people don't complain.
On December 3rd, one of the white women, who I know is Taylor, as far as I'm concerned, all of their names are Taylor. I don't know any more information about them beyond that. She called me from a phone, and the caller ID said Taylor Contello. I began talking with her. She sent me to a few stops to pick up some money from some accounts. I picked up the money. I brought it back. When I got there, it was very weird because there was a white woman there. I don't know. That could potentially be the fourth one. Because every time I would see them, they would look different. Different to the point where it seems as if they're a different person. Do you get what I mean? Like,
okay.
So,
yeah.
That was December 3rd. On December 4th or December 5th, I was in the kitchen making a coffee, and I could hear my manager saying, she called him from her personal number. I heard she say he was cute, and I think she wants to date that guy. And then he told the owner of the company, my cousin brought home a black guy for Christmas one year, and my grandmother told her, no, you can stay outside until next year. And then he said something in Italian, which I didn't understand.
Do you have another job yet, Kevin?
I've gotten 2 jobs since then.
Okay. When did you get the next job?
I want to say about a month later, I got hired again, and I just got hired at another job. And I've maintained.
How much are you currently making?
Between my 2 jobs, not much. And it's not a set schedule.
Huh?
Between my 2 jobs, not much. 'Cause it's not one job. They're both part-time. One I'm scheduled for 3 days a week, and it's consistent. And then the other job, the schedule varies.
How much are you earning per week in total?
I don't know. So it could be anywhere from like $500 to $600 a week right now.
Okay. And what were you earning at the other place? I see $20 an hour.
But I was
How many hours did you work?
It was like my direct deposits bounced between $750 and $980 a week, or $950 a week. And there's actually a list of that.
Definitely making less now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I get the impression that none of this information has been previously relayed to you.
You said that a bunch of times.
But it all sounds new to you.
You didn't. Where did you tell us your current employment and how much you're earning?
I didn't.
That's not a question my team asks.
I did not tell you that. But what I'm saying is,
okay,
the information I reported for December 3rd sounded new to you. The information on December 17th sounded new to you. The information from December 16th sounded new to you. And that would have been the main information that I reported.
But if that information is in the same link that still does not open, and that I'm staring at my screen that says there's a problem with the preview,
All right. So what you need to do?
Then no, I didn't.
If you right click on that link and go to open new tab, you can click on download. Download anyway. And then it downloads.
You're gonna have to make it smaller. I can't scan the file for viruses.
There's no way for me to make it smaller.
That's what it says.
And it doesn't. If I make it smaller, it's not going to give you all the information.
So you don't. Again, there was nobody to complain to.
All right. So my options of complaining were my manager, who's made racist comments, the owner of the company, who the racist comments about me were made to, and then the white woman, who I was not allowed to speak to or see. So it's just like, who would I complain to?
I hear you. But in employment law, a complaint is a very, very important thing. Alright, I think I'm getting this complaint opened.
So if you look at, here's another thing. So after going through the Division of Human Rights complaint, I saw the company handbook for the first time, and there's a drug policy in there, and one of the other drivers is a fucking heroin addict. And he comes to work high on heroin, and the owner of the company has personally told me, in person, that they had to call his wife and have them lower his methadone treatment or dosage because he was falling asleep while driving the vehicle. That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
What does that have to do with you?
It's like, well, why the hell did I get fired when my termination letter says I was fired for violating policies in the company handbook, and that's it. It doesn't cite a policy. And then if you look through the company handbook, it's like everyone else did this stuff except for me.
And what about the January 27th write-up?
So that was given to me on February 3rd. Now, on February 3rd was a Monday. The incident I complained about occurred on Friday. After I finished work on Friday, I went home, I went to sleep, I woke up, and then I texted Taylor, Greg, Paulie, and Giselle, and I let them know that I was shorted 6 cases of coffee and 1 case of disinfectant wipes. And Paulie's response to that was, we knew about the wipes, and then the coffee was put onto your truck. But it's like, what do you mean you knew? Like, if you knew about this, why didn't you just put it on there to begin with?
What, does it harm you somehow that you were
yes, because
shorted the coffee?
The entire time I was there, they were A, making it look like I was stealing. B, they were complaining about me losing product. And the entire time, my argument was the product was never on the truck. And then I want to say about 2 weeks before that, I had a massive argument with Paulie where he told me I was the only driver that was no longer allowed to check their product in before they went on the road. And then 2 weeks later, I'm missing 6 cases of coffee. Like, that's not a setup.
Where's the coffee supposed to go? On delivery?
Yeah, it's a route. You deliver coffee and janitorial supplies to bodegas in New York City. They have some accounts that are gyms. They just go to various stops.
Do you have their rebuttal, the company's rebuttal in here?
It is in there.
Or opposition?
Yep. Let me see.
I see yours.
New York State, Kevin's revised rebuttal, original complaint. Oh no. Fuck, I think I fucked this up. Hold on. Rebuttal. Oh Lord. I might have sent the wrong file. Complaint form.
Why is there no? I'm looking at a pay stub. Why is there no hours on here? It's just 250. What does that mean?
All right, so that's another thing. On December 17th, I began looking for my pay stubs because I needed to move, and then they refused to give me pay stubs. And this was after the Christmas party because they thought I was trying to sue for sexual harassment. This is the thing that drives me insane.
Is $250? Is that a bonus?
It was a bonus, but they still have not given me pay stubs. And there's an HR text chain that says, A, they said that they gave me pay stubs in the New York State Division of Human Rights complaint, and they never did. B, even they felt like I had
I found the response. I found it.
I can't find it.
I got it. The folder is case number, then the case number, and then Fabco's response. That's what it's called.
I don't even see it. Hold on. There it is. Okay. It's just all insane. It really is. Like, why would they try and withhold my pay stubs? As an employee, I'm entitled to pay stubs. And then there's pictures of me asking for these pay stubs from text messages from Taylor, or one of the Taylors, I should say, going from December 17th all the way up to the time I was terminated. They also never gave me my W-2 until the day they fired me. It's just so obvious what happened here. But it's a lot of information to go through.
If they didn't, if they just were, if they had some type of discriminatory animus because you're black,
no.
Why would they have hired you?
Alright, so here's the thing. The manager there, Paulie, I've known since 2012. And I did not want to work there.
What's that relationship about?
Alright, so he used to own a route, and he used to deliver peanuts to my uncle's deli. And he sold drugs. I was selling drugs back then. I stopped selling drugs in 2023. So I guess he sold his route and started working at this coffee company. My cousin came to me and told me they were looking for a driver, and I did not want the job because I knew he was going to ask me to sell him drugs. And that's another thing. At the Christmas party, after one of the Taylors said that I had the bigger dick, this guy starts trying to buy drugs from me at a Christmas party, saying we should go into business, blah, 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 in front of the entire company. And then the owner is sitting across the table saying, as soon as he starts selling drugs again, he's gone. And it's like, I haven't sold drugs since 2023, and their rebuttal, they acknowledge that I said that. Like, it's just all insanity. It's absolute insanity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that they fucked you over here.
And then,
I don't doubt that for 1 second.
And then the other thing is, whoever signed, it was either the NDA or the company handbook, maybe both. The name Taylor Contello is also forged. Like, these signatures are scanned onto the documents. So I don't even know who that is, to be honest. Like, for all I know, she never worked there. It's a made-up name. I have no idea what's going on here. I have no idea at all.
Do you have any? I don't see checks from before February.
You said checks?
Texts.
You mean HR complaints?
Yeah.
So I didn't complain until I got fired, and when I got fired,
what about the coffee thing though? Where is that? Where would that text message be in here?
That would be between. Hold on. What are these labeled? Paulie, Giselle. No, that's for my hours. Giselle, Taylor, Greg, Paulie, Kevin. It'd probably be in that folder. Why are these not opening?
No. December. I see it. All right, December 27th.
And then they accused me of damaging their van, which I did not, because there's cameras inside the van. That's another thing. On my second day there, my manager told me that there's no audio in the van. That's a lie. And they invaded my privacy, which is a felony in the state of New York, and they did it until I got fired.
What are 11 tickets so far for October? What does that mean?
So, do you work in New York City? Or do you work from home?
I work in New York City when I go to court. My office is in Westchester.
Okay, so essentially, in New York City, there's no parking.
Tickets? Is that what we're saying?
No, they're parking tickets, but there's no parking out there. So I was instructed by Paulie to double park, and if I double parked, the company would fight it and pay for it, or just fight it, whatever the case may be.
That's what. That makes sense. That's what FedEx and UPS does. I know that for sure.
So
they're saying like it was a bad thing that you got 11 tickets, or that's over a quota or something. What's the point of him saying that on the text?
Because I was asking about my pay and why it was shorter. Because that's another thing. So I feel like someone there was docking my hours without telling me.
Direct deposit hours.
And
punch in, punch out?
No, I would have to. There's another folder. So the first one is
hours, the handwritten hours.
All right, so those are the hours that I compiled based on what I sent. And then, hold on, where? Giselle, no. It should be Taylor and Giselle. Okay, so there's a folder labeled Taylor, Giselle hours. And that went on up until December 23rd. And then Paulie started a group text with myself, Taylor, Paulie, and Giselle.
Oh, you would just text it every day.
Correct. But
okay, I see.
And then like the hours versus the deposits don't add up. It's not a major difference, but it just doesn't make any sense. Because there's weeks where I had
you would need to see the pay stubs to figure that out.
And they won't show them.
Apparently they don't want to give you.
And
they use ADP though. You didn't have like online access.
So that's another thing. There's a text in there in one of these where Giselle told me after that termination meeting to create an ADP account. I did that. And then I believe I texted Taylor and asked her for login information. And she told me it comes from ADP. They sent it, which is not true. Essentially, the whole thing is they are pathological liars. Everything they say is a lie, which is why I had to record them.
Yeah, the ADP should have. It's strange that it does, because it's always the same. I look at thousands and thousands of pay stubs, and a lot of clients use ADP, and it's always the same login procedure.
So, I don't know. I have this feeling that they don't give access because they steal from the workers, and then you have another employee there. This guy's immigration status is not legal, and this guy was working on overtime on a Saturday, and I heard Giselle come out into the warehouse and yell at this guy for working on one machine for 5 hours, and meanwhile they are stealing money from me. And the thing I don't understand is, if they had such a problem with me, why not just tell me you don't want me to work there? Like, I endured a lot of emotional stress working there because they were trying to figure out an excuse so they could go around and tell people why they fired me.
Are you treating with a psychiatrist or a therapist?
I don't have health insurance right now.
Okay.
And I won't for at least another 60 days if this job works out.
Yeah. So, look, I don't think I don't doubt for a second they wanted to get rid of you, and they very well might have been retaliating against you. But you have, and Kevin, this is, I told you I was going to be very blunt, because I'm not doing you any justice if I'm not. And this is probably the reason why no attorneys are taking the case. Not only, so and I'm going to take the time to talk you through this, because you have the division of rights complaint pending. So in employment law, like in civil litigation in general, we have to prove two things. There's two parts, and I tell clients to think of it like a criminal proceeding, because everybody knows that from like TV, right? So Kevin, you're driving to work one day and you blow through a red light, right? You're running a little late, whatever. Get the ticket, you have to show up at court 2 months later or whenever it's going to be. The first question, the first part of the inquiry that the judge is going to ask is Kevin guilty? Did he blow through the red light? If you get a yes to that, you move on to part two. And part two is the sentencing. What is it going to be? Like a fine? Is he going to do community service? Whatever it's going to be. In employment law, we have something similar. There's two parts. The first part is liability, and the second part is damages. If you prove liability, which here you can have a tough case, because a lot of it is circumstantial, number one, and number two, he said, she said, and that's okay.
Well, not really, because I have recordings of my write-ups and the termination meeting. Those are recorded. The audio recordings.
And what I see, you noted that there's a difference in what it says and what they actually say. Right?
What do you mean?
In the meeting, the write-up says something different.
Correct. So I don't recall them ever saying during the termination meeting that I violated policies in the company handbook. I don't recall that.
What did they say during that meeting?
Giselle accused me of trying to dig up dirt on Paulie. One of these folders is customer complaints. That's another thing. So I was on my route upstate in Armonk, and Hopewell Junction and whatnot, and every stop I went to, there was a complaint. So if you were to look in the Division of Human Rights complaint, they're saying that I was always out for more hours, and in reality, I was taking customer complaints and smoothing things out, because they were constantly complaining about Paulie and the office. So one stop.
Did you give those complaints to anyone at the company?
I finished my route that day, and I went home and I texted Taylor and Greg, and there's a text chain there which they did not respond to. And in the meeting, that termination meeting, one of the women, who was one of the Taylors, I should say, because she was significantly shorter than the one from December 3rd that collected the money from me. So I don't know what her real name is. Or she could be Taylor, the other one could be Taylor. I don't know what the hell is going on. But the issue here is that she made a big deal out of me writing a note to Taylor and Greg saying that, essentially I wrote verbatim what the customer said about Paulie. And when I went in the next day, I was fired.
During that meeting where they were talking about your termination that you have recorded, did you push back? Did you say,
yeah, so essentially,
this is retaliation, this is...
I went in and she asked me to start. I started. And at some point, she started saying, essentially she wanted me to quit, and I would not. So she threw her hands up.
But did you say did you give her the history of what you went through at the company? I was sexually harassed at the Christmas party. I did being targeted because I'm black. Did you say that?
That I did not bring up. The Christmas party I did not bring up. What I did bring up was being shorted cases on a regular basis. And her response was, well, I've known about that for weeks, as in more than one, at least two, and she said that she's had multiple people checking my order every day, but oddly enough, I have audio recordings of me checking the order and then going to the guy that picks the order, and it's just not true. It's like everything with these people is a lie.
So
everything.
No, I believe you 100%. I don't doubt that at all. And they sound like a shit company, and you're probably better off you're not there anymore.
Yeah, but the way it all worked out is,
going back to what I was trying
to
explain about the law, about the legal part of things. The liability, step one, right? We gotta prove that, and then after, and you don't have like a really strong case, in my opinion. It's hard to prove. It's going to be very, very, very hard to prove. I don't doubt what you went through and what happened, but liability is going to be hard to prove. That's number one, Kevin. Number two, after liability, like in the traffic tickets example, where you got to prove what the penalty is going to be. Here, we have to prove your damages. We have to prove that. Like, you have to prove that. And to prove damages, there's two parts. One is the economics, which is why I was asking how soon you got a job. Because once you get a job, we can argue that
it was less money though.
If it's a wrongful termination, that you're entitled to 100% of your pay until the case settles or you get a judgment or whatever. But when you get a new job, that back pay stops. We call it back pay. It stops. So even though there's an argument that you should be entitled to the difference since you're making less, your economic damages are extremely limited. That's number one. Number two, the emotional distress, and this part is like it sounds bad, so I hate explaining it to people this way. But the way the law looks at emotional distress is in two parts, and this is why I asked you about your treatment. And again, most of my clients don't have health insurance, so a lot of them don't go to seek treatment. If you don't have treatment, the courts call it, and lawyers call it, garden variety emotional distress, and that could be, $0, that could be $1,000, that could be $10,000, $50,000. It's usually rarely ever more than $50,000, right? That's how we look at it.
Well,
if you have treatment, that's where you can start making arguments that the emotional distress is high.
So, from my understanding, is that there's two different kinds: willful and intentional, and then non-intentional.
No, that's not right. There could be punitive damages, but those are another category that's extremely hard to get. Willful intentional goes towards their conduct.
And I would say what they did was willful and intentional. I mean, so since they fired me, I told you I used to sell drugs. I stopped in 2023. I keep going to the police and confessing to my crimes, so they will charge me. Because, as far as I'm concerned, that was another reason I got fired, because I might start selling drugs again. I contacted the FBI. I told them I used to sell drugs, and what I reported myself for were 8 felonies, 25 to life. I have a recording where I went to the Westchester County District Attorney's office and confessed. Didn't charge me. It's been 2 weeks. I went to Greenwich Police. Did the same thing last week.
Why are you doing that?
Because I don't know what else to do.
But how's that going to help you, Kevin?
I don't know. Maybe if I... See, for me, this whole thing is because I was really good at selling drugs, and I made a lot of money, and now a lot of people seem to have a problem with me. So I'm just going to go around to all these police departments and keep confessing until somebody will hire me, which just happened 2 days ago. I mean...
But why would you confessing have anything to do with somebody hiring you?
Because I might start selling drugs again. According to these other people. According to these other people, I might.
So you don't start.
No, there's this thing where I could potentially start selling drugs again. So it's an excuse for no one to hire me, for people to fire me. So what would you do?
Well, I'm not a criminal lawyer, man, but I would tell you not to start selling drugs again.
I'm not going to. That's the whole point.
Good. Well, that's a good decision. But like back to this case. And then why? Can I ask you a question? Why Did something happen? Did something get scheduled or something that you're calling around lawyers?
No, so essentially I found an attorney to represent me. He sent me a retainer, and then as soon as I signed that retainer, they made it very clear that they weren't doing anything. So I started researching this guy, and from what I can tell, he lives in the same town as the company that the owner lives in, and I feel like they colluded against me.
What's his name? Let's see if it rings a bell.
Jordan Alexander El Hag, or El Hag.
Oh, I heard him before. He's in Westchester, right?
I don't know.
I think his office is in White Plains.
So
I don't know where he lives personally, but
they have a virtual office. I went there, and after I discovered it was a virtual office, I called their office number, and I asked the secretary if they have a physical office. She told me no. So throughout the last 4 months or so, through my many calls to that office number, I've discovered that they actually do have an office, and they just lie to me and lie to me and lie to me and lie to me, and then
that's crazy. Yeah, 777 Westchester Avenue, is that it?
That's a virtual office. There's no physical office.
Oh, that's a virtual.
So they just sent me a dismissal 4 months down the road, and they haven't done anything. It's as if they
dismissal, like closing their file, or?
Yeah, exactly.
Did they file this?
Nope.
Did they help you with this complaint, or no?
They did not.
So this was after. You filed this after.
I filed it after, but I notified them through email about everything that I've been doing, everything that's been going on, and they never responded. And what I was also doing...
Did they write like a demand letter or anything for you?
They haven't done anything. All they did was send me a retainer.
When did you sign a retainer? How many months ago?
February 25th. And oddly enough, Taylor, one of the Taylors, on the same day that the retainer was signed, she responded to my HR complaint. So it really seems like, I feel like Jordan Alexander El Hag and Greg Fabiani know each other. I really do. I don't really have any evidence, but it's like, it just seems like they colluded. And then if you look at this dude's Google reviews, it seems like he does this shit all the time. There's a bunch of them where he's...
El Hag?
Yeah. He has a number of reviews where he'll accept cases and then not represent people.
They sent me a retainer after reading it. I have one question. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's a bunch of one-star reviews.
Yep. And it's all the same shit that they just did to me. The difference is, I caught it early.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad you caught it early. That's crazy that they're doing shit like this.
And then, I'll tell you something. Once I figured out that they were not representing me, I called them and I told them that it was a lie. But I told them the Italian Mafia was waiting for me outside my apartment. They beat the shit out of me, pistol whipped me, put a gun to my head and told me to drop the lawsuit. I called them and told them that. They waited a week and sent me a dismissal. But if you're a lawyer, you're also an officer of the court, correct?
Wait, did that really happen?
No, that did not happen. I lied to them. But my point is, if you're a lawyer, you're an officer of the court, correct?
Yes, that's what they...
And what are you supposed to do in that circumstance?
If a client says they got the shit beat out of them by the Italian Mafia?
Yeah, and threaten to be murdered if they don't drop the lawsuit. What is an officer of the court supposed to do?
What I would do is tell you to go to the cops immediately. That's what I would do.
A, they didn't do that. B, they are also themselves supposed to report it. Right?
I have no idea. I don't deal with anything criminal.
I mean, an officer of the court is an officer of the court. It's part of being an attorney.
Yeah, I honestly, that situation's never arisen. So I can't speak to it. But listen, HR complaint, the human rights complaint?
Because I just got this nagging suspicion that they were not representing me, and also it just made sense to do.
Okay, so you felt like they weren't doing anything, so like this was like you went online and
I was sending things.
Did they tell you? Did they talk about this beforehand, or?
Oh, that's another thing. After I signed the retainer, I was never consulted. After 4 months of having a retainer signed, they never consulted.
Did you talk to an attorney before you signed the retainer?
I spoke with whom I believe was Jordan L. Hag beforehand, and then afterwards, after signing the retainer, he never consulted with me for 4 months.
Okay, that's strange. Cause I don't file. Most times I don't file anything with the Division of Human Rights. That's why I was asking if
I do it on my own.
An attorney talked about this.
And I notified him before I did it, and what I said was, in an email, I'm filing this complaint with the New York State Division of Human Rights and the EEOC unless advised otherwise. And they did not respond.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, necessarily. It just, I just prefer to be in court. But there's nothing wrong with it, and you have to file with the EEOC to bring certain claims anyway in court. So there's definitely no downside to it. I was just curious.
And what I did was get a response out of that company, and what did I find out? That they're forging my signature on documents. That's what I found out.
I mean, it looks like you're not backing down, and that's a good thing. So
no, I'm not.
That's good. I just think, Kevin, you're really gonna have a tough time finding an attorney that can help you out, man. The way we work, at least here, I don't really litigate in the Division of Human Rights ever.
Well, you wouldn't have to.
I file with the EEOC very often, but I just ask for a right to sue, and then I file in federal court. But you're not only do you have, an uphill battle in terms of proving your case, and I say that to you because I really want to be honest with you. But your damages, the amount of damages that you can prove is pretty limited, man. So that's why you're going to have a hard time finding an attorney, but...
Well, I mean, emotional distress up to millions.
You're allowed to do this yourself.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I mean, you can do this yourself. You are. That's for sure an option. There's legal. Did you try to look around for any legal services type of organizations?
I've contacted.
You know what? Wait, I know. Let me give you this name, because what was the name of that? I gotta think of the case name. It was a non-profit, and they took these cases. They took cases for free sometimes. His name was Tito. I know that. There you go. Found it. Do you want to take this name down?
Sure.
The name of this company. It's called Take Root Justice. Take Root, one word, and then Justice. The website is takerootjustice.org.
Okay.
It might be worth a call to them, because I know for sure I don't really do it anymore, but I used to defend cases. I call it my past life now. But I was on the other side of an attorney that works for this organization, and they represent people for free.
Okay.
Resource management, workers' rights. Yeah, I'm on their website right now. Do you want me to email it to you?
Sure, if you don't mind.
Alright, yeah, I'll reply to your email. And I don't know if the guy that I deal with still works there, but his name was Tito. About us, let me see. History, mission, staff. They don't have names up there. his contact and stuff. As short of that, like what I will say is like I think I don't doubt what you went through, and it sounds like a really crappy experience. But I do have the fortune of hindsight, Kevin, and what I can tell you is you're better off without that place, and like you will, and I know you got another job, 2 jobs already, but like you'll find something that is going to be much better opportunity. Like if they're going to do this type of shit to you, even if it's something that doesn't fall under the employment laws or
I don't see how
discrimination laws.
If he made a discriminate remark directly to me, and then 2 weeks before that, a discriminate remark about me to the owner of the company.
Yeah, and your testimony about that is for sure evidence. It's for sure evidence. And what that comes down to, because they're going to deny it. I guarantee you 100% they'll deny it. They always fucking do. They always lie. They're going to deny it, so that's why we have what we call
the thing is that I have 2 weeks of them lying nonstop on audio recording.
Yeah, and that will go to their credibility. We call it an issue of fact, right? He said, she said. Lawyers call it an issue of fact. One person says this, one person says that. That goes to the finder of fact. The jury decides who they believe. Or in the DHR, it's going to be what we call an ALJ, Administrative Law Judge. They decide, and they weigh the credibility, and they decide who's more truthful or not.
Well, no,
that's legitimate.
I think I'd like a jury trial.
If you would like a jury trial, you have to figure out how to get out of the Department of Human Rights, Division of Human Rights. It'll come to a point where they issue something called a determination and order, and they'll either find reason to believe there's cause for violation of the anti-discrimination laws, or the human rights laws, as we call them, or there's not. If they find there is, then it moves forward, and you could, at any point, you could request dismissal so you can sue in court, but you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't sue in court without a lawyer, in my opinion. You can still do it, and we call that pro se. You can still do that, but overall, it's generally better to have a lawyer. So these are like considerations you're gonna have to think about moving forward. But I really am a firm believer that even if it doesn't fall under the discrimination laws, like, they don't deserve you anyway, and it doesn't feel great, and it's gonna suck, and it's not right. It doesn't make it right what they did, but
I mean, ultimately, if I'm not,
point where you're doing something much better, and you'll put them in your mirror, and they're not even worth they're not even worth your thought, your time, Kevin.
Ultimately,
they're not worth it. They don't deserve it.
After all this is settled, I'm just gonna post all of this shit online, all their audio recordings, a recording of me telling the person who fired me that when I asked Paulie a question about a customer, he responded, "Tell that lady to eat a fat dick," and then her response was, "Well, yeah, that sounds like Paulie." I'm just gonna post all that shit online, and at the end of this, because that's the kind of people they are.
Yeah, they're just not. You know, karma always comes around. They're not good people, and they'll end up getting what they deserve one way or another. And I hope you win. I hope you kick their ass in this proceeding. And I know, like, you're super prepared. You have a lot of documentation. I think it's a tough case. And I think your damages are limited. But you know, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go forward or not with it. To me, that just means, like, it's going to be hard to find a lawyer.
Okay. If you don't mind, can I have your name?
Yeah, my name's Joe JJJ.
Joe. I'm sorry. What was the last name?
JJJ. I'm gonna have to spell that for you.
Go ahead, please.
JEZ. You know what? It's gonna be on my email. I'm gonna send you this link to this Take Root Justice right now. JEZIORKOWSKI.
IORSKI. JEZEIORSKI. Okay. You have a bar number?
A bar number? I do.
Okay.
Why are you asking for that?
I was just curious.
Yes, I have a bar number. I'm an attorney.
Would you mind giving it to me?
This is another thing. You're asking very weird questions, Kevin. It could also be making people be a little suspicious. You're the very first potential client to ask me for my bar number.
Do you not want to provide it?
Yeah, you can find it. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just wondering.
You can find any attorney's bar number. I'm pretty sure you just look it up.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, I have one though. I promise you. I have two actually. I have one in California also.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for your help, Joe.
You're welcome. Listen, don't be deterred. I just, unfortunately, sometimes we can't take every single case. I really am sorry. And that's why I like to take the time to have these conversations, and at least can't give you actual specific legal advice when you're not my client, but I could talk generally about the law and damages and proving liability and damages. And again, I'm a lawyer, right? Just like a doctor, different lawyers can have different opinions. So just because this is my opinion, you might find someone that thinks it's the best case and wants to help you immediately, and you might find somebody that loves to litigate in the Division of Human Rights. This could all happen. So don't be discouraged at all. I think you're doing the right thing, standing up for yourself, and you should be proud. Don't stop.
Thank you.
All right, I'll email you this link. It's a little bit after we hang up, and you get if down the road, if you're at a new job and something doesn't seem right, you can call us back, and it's better to do it sooner rather than later, because after the fact it's always harder. After there's write-ups and termination notices, it's always harder, and you can't know the first time around, and so that's why I always tell people that.
Okay. So in regard to employment, do you also handle civil exams?
Civil service exams?
Yeah.
Handle how so?
Because I seem to be having an issue with New York City.
Oh, they're the worst. I don't. That's a niche practice. I can. Is it that did you take a test and you're not hearing back from them or something, or you didn't get a position, or?
No. So they keep. Essentially, they're giving me the runaround.
I'll think about it, because I feel like there's somebody in my contacts in my Rolodex that does that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I've dealt with the city. I've sued the city before, but not over that. It's just in a regular discrimination employment context.
I have a question. So the spelling of your last name was JEZEIORSKI?
No. JEZIORKOWSKI. You're gonna have all my info in like 2 minutes when I send you this email.
All right, so it was JEZIORKOWSKI.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right.
All right.
So the New York City thing, no good for you?
No, not me. But I really think I know somebody that deals with that. I just can't think of his name off the top of my head. But I'll look, and I'm going to if I find it, I'll follow. I'll send you another email after, like on this chain we have going.
Okay. I'm sorry to ask again. That was JEZIORKOWSKI?
Yeah, man. That's a long name.
Yeah, it really is. Oh. Okay. And your first name is Joe, right?
Yeah, Joe.
Okay. I was just wondering. All right.
All right.
Thanks for your help, man.
Yeah, I wish I could help more, man. But I know it's tough and it sucks to go through this because I talk to people every day who lose their jobs, so I really am, and like that's honestly why like I not saying that there's anything special about it, but Friday night at 7 p.m. like I always try to take the time, like even if it's something that I can't take on or help you with, I always try to take the time to talk to people because like you'll always after going through this process for next time because most employees don't know their rights. Like you'll know and you'll be ready when you get that gut feeling. So but you should be proud. Keep standing up for yourself. Don't stop because if you don't and like I don't do my job, then these employers they just keep taking advantage of people and treating people like crap.
Yeah, I see that. All right. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate your time.
All right. Have a good weekend, Kevin.
You as well. Take care.
And look for my email with this link and try to call them because they might be able to help you for free.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That nigga is not a lawyer.